Good morning students. Welcome back to the online classes session of Embedded Systems. This is Aisha Sultana, Assistant Professor of EC Department. So I hope you people are doing well at your homes. So today we are going to discuss about the history of your embedded systems. What is the embedded processors you will be using over here? What are the classifications? Then what are majorly where these are actually used in your real-time systems or the real applications. We'll just go through all these topics in today's class. I hope last class what we have learned, you people remember that one. We have seen the definition of your embedded systems. I hope you people remember. In general terms, what is embedded systems? It's nothing, just a combination of your hardware plus software, or else you can give different definitions that you people already have, like if embedded system are electronic systems that contain a microprocessor or the microcontroller, but we do not think they are like computers. We have to do embedded. You have to embed a particular system. You have to give some feature to that one, right? So different authors, different people have defined this embedded system in different terms. For our best knowledge, we are just combining a combination of your hardware plus software, right? So in last class, what you have seen, introduction part of your embedded systems, all 5 chapters what you are going to study in this semester. Of all 5 chapters you have seen, then a brief description about your embedded systems, etc. So I think you people remember all these things. So this is your second class. I think you people are not getting bored because it is a somewhat theory subject, but we'll make this interesting. Okay, let's just start with the history of your embedded systems. Okay, so what you are having here first, the very first history when it was developed. Your embedded system was developed in the year of actually 1940s, where in that earliest years, the computers in 1940s was sometimes dedicated to only single task. There was only one single task for doing some mathematical operation. Only one single computer used to be done. For any other operation, only for single task computers were being used. So but where to use a large components or larger application, they then used to have this embedded systems, and the first recognized embedded system was called as AGC. This was your first recognized embedded system, and that is called as your AGC. This was actually built and used in the year of 1960s. Okay, this AGC is nothing but Apollo Guidance Computer. This was one of the embedded system first computer that was developed by Charles Stack Draper at MIT Instrumentation's laboratory in the year of 1960s, because by hand we used them at that particular time. So till that time, what we had in 1940s, computers were there, but they were completely dedicated to a single or a particular task. So as to have a bigger task or some embedded task, what you used to do, so at that particular time embedded systems came into actually consideration, and this AGC was prepared. And this AGC actually what we say, it has 2 modules. This actually AGC is used for your spacing, space versus NASA, for communication, long range communication. If you go for space and all, how we have to communicate, a long distance communication, how we have to do. So this AGC has done all these things. So this AGC works on 2 modules. First one was your command module, and second was your LEM, means lunar excursion module. So what actually you something get in your mind when you tell when you listen about command, means you are commanding, you are telling some instruction to perform. So here also same thing, this model is used to control the room. So whenever you suppose your satellite is there, or a vehicle or missile or spaceship is there in your space, from there in the downwards at your laboratories, this model is used to control the room and the living quadratures what are there in the spacecraft, and functioning is been properly done is been checking by your command module. So as we said, this computer has 2 modules. It runs on 2 modules. So first one is command module, where it checks whether all the control room and who are there in the particular control room in your rocket or missile, they are safe, like every functioning is been correct, doing on the correct time is not, that has been checked by your command module. Second one was your lunar excursion module. In the name itself you can understand what you are doing. Lunar, you have to go in the space, right? And excursion means you have to go to somewhere. that is a model. So a space vehicle module, it is actually a space vehicle module designed to carry the astronauts. So this is used to design this model. Actually we have designed to carry the astronauts from command module to the surface of moon or some any other surface of Mars or something. From moon go and come back, moon and come back. So we are moving to moon or coming back from that one. So it is designed to carry the astronauts from the command module. So what you are having, suppose myself, you people are astronauts and you are going to the space, you are going to the moon and you have to come back. So what is the distance, what is the frequency, how you are going, what is your what you are saying, how is your health, everything is monitored by using this LEM module. So this was the computer, or this was the embedded system computer that was firstly developed by MIT laboratory, and this used to completely work on these two modules, and that modules are called as your command module, where everything is to control. It is used in actually control room. And this one space this model is used, LEM model is used in your space vehicle. It is nothing but a space vehicle model that is used to design to carry the astronauts from the command module, nothing but you from the control room to the surface of the moon or the surface of the Mars or to the surface of the space. Okay, till that time, or again after reaching the space or after reaching the moon, again you have to come back. So all these models what you are going through, everything is modulated or what will say monitored by using your LEM module. So that was the first characteristics of your embedded first system AGC. Then it has a size of RAM, memory size of 256 watts firstly. Then after some days it has increased to 1 kb, that is nothing but 1046 watts. Then afterwards 2 kilowatts. Now we are using of 2 kilowatts of memory, and the room size was your 4K, 10K, then after lastly 36K, and the clock frequency which has been used is 1024 megahertz of frequency has been used. And very importantly, it is using 3 input RTL NOR gates. What is meant by RTL? Do you remember what is meant by RTL? RTL is nothing but resistor transistor logic. Okay, these resistor transistor logic NOR gates, why we are using means this transistor input or the transistor, any reasonable or we can say for if you want a particular input, any one particular input, so one transistor can be used per one input. So if I am having 3 gates, so what I'll do, one transistor per gate. So one transistor per input. Any means how any kind of reasonable output you can be obtained by using a RTL logic NOR gate. So what actually agenda is that one transistor per input can be used by using this RTL NOR gate. So that's the reason we have means that people have used this RTL NOR gates, 3 input RTL NOR gates, and by using this one what you get is one transistor per input you will be getting. Okay, I hope you are clear. What was the first embedded system which was organized in the year of 1940, but it came into the working processor in terms of 1960s. Then that first embedded system is called as embedded system computer is called as your Apollo guidance computer, and that was developed by a scientist called as Charles Drake, and in the which laboratory, that is nothing but your MIT laboratory. So it has 2 modules, command module and lunar excursion module. It has memory size of 2K words, room size is of 36 kilowatts, and works on the clock frequency of 1.204 megahertz, and it uses RTL NOR gates. Okay, I hope you are clear with that one. Now very importantly, this is how it looks. This was the first embedded system computer, Apollo guidance computer, which was used. Okay, where you had it is having an interface called as DSKY, DSKY. So DSKY, actually it was, so when we had interfacing of a displaying and keyboard, so they combined both keyboard as well as the display. So as to give a short name for that one, what they have given, D and key they have combined, like a DEES, then afterward KEY they have done, afterwards then shortcutted their name and given as DSKY, means display come keyboard. So this was your first embedded system computer, Apollo guidance computer, and the first mass produced embedded systems which into consideration was produced was D70 guidance computer for Millennium I missile. That Apollo guidance computer was the first one which was prepared, but afterwards very impractical it has given in the Millennium first missile, and that computer name was given as D17 guidance computer. So this is your AGC computer. This is a embedded system that we used to use, and it is having an interface of your board display as well as the keyboard. So it is called as your disk key. So I hope you people remember that disk key, right? So that was about your history of your embedded systems. Now we'll see classifications of embedded systems. See, embedded system has been classified in different terms. So they are categorized in based on generations, they are categorized based on complexity, they are categorized based on deterministic behavior, how it is behaving. Then again it is categorized based on triggering also. But very importantly, we go based on environment also. These embedded systems have been classified, but on the terms of but on terms of complexity and performance, we will be seeing what are the different kinds of embedded systems we are having. So based on complexity and performance, there are three kinds of embedded systems. One is small scale embedded systems, then you are having medium scale embedded systems, then thirdly you are having the sophisticated embedded systems. So very first, based on complexity and performance, these are similar to your other generation computers embedded systems also. So when I'll be giving you the notes, I'll give all these things. So based on the complexity, the very first one is your small scale embedded system. In these embedded systems, low performance and low cost 8-bit or 16-bit microprocessor or microcontrollers were used. So that's the reason it is called as why we are calling a small scale, because these kind of microprocessor 8-bit or 16-bit processors or controllers are very much suitable for small applications or so simple applications, and their performance is not time critical. So in such time only you have to do that one. So these are very simple for smaller applications. They were used. So that's the reason they were called as your small scale embedded systems. And it may or may not contain operating systems. It's not compulsory that they will be having, because we have already said we are using only 8-bit or 16-bit microprocessor or controller, and these are meant only for simple kind of applications, right? So the software of the system is not complex, where the hardware was also very simple and very small. So generally we used which kind of language? C language was used for development of this software. The softwares which will be using in this scale, so small scale embedded system, was only C language. They used to use C language, and maybe depending on the application, if a smaller application where you can dump your operating system also, may or may not you'll be having an operating system. So that was about your small scale embedded systems. Now secondly, you are having medium scale embedded system. In this embedded system, this would based on your medium performance. Last we said we are having a small performance. Here what you had 16 to 32-bit microprocessor or microcontroller. Now in this medium scale you had found the DSPs, digital signal processors, okay, at this particular time. So this is slightly complex in hardware, because we are using signal processor. So DSP, digital, you are having. So this processor has somewhat what you call complexity, and it may contain GPOS or RTOS. Do you know what is GPOS? GPOS is nothing but general purpose operating system. This general purpose actually operating system is what we call mainly used for any mobile device, or like any servers or any computer systems. For sure you have to use, means one kind of essential system. Whereas your real-time operating system, what you are having for some particular application you will be using, means for a low end. if you are having, you have to use in a robot or something like that, you are preparing a particular application, what you say, you are using real time application. But general purpose operating system, what you are having, this is an essential component of your electronic device, whatever it may be. Okay, it might be like computers or like your mobile devices, etc. There it is must and should. And for running a particular application in your device, your GPOS should be present in that. So this is called as your GPOS. So in medium scale embedded system, you had 16 to 32 bit of microprocessor or controller, and in this era you got your DSPs. Okay, here the programming tools used for this complex, a bit complex software design, and we are having some complexity in your hardware also, because some incremental step ahead we have moved for this one. Like, so most of the different functions what we used in this medium scale embedded systems are like encrypting, decrypting, or discrete cosine transforms. We said no, we have practically theoretically we have done, practically we have done, but on system how we have to do this are all done on medium scale embedded systems. So there we had encrypting, decrypting, design, cosine transforms, inverse transform, Laplace transform, etc. all were used in this medium scale embedded systems. Now thirdly, you got large scale or complex scale embedded systems, where these embedded systems were around high performance, and they used 32 to or 64 bits of microcontrollers or microprocessors, or we also called as RISC or PLDs, programmable logic devices. It requires completely complex hardware as well as the software, and these all fall under your what is sophisticated embedded systems, and the processing speed of this system is less. So in order to increase the speed, what we will do, the systems have some particular functions which has to be implemented by some softwares only. So what you do, this system may contain multiple processor, multiple controllers, core units, hardwares, etc. we are using. So actually thing is, this is completely complex. We are using 64 kilobytes of processor or controller or the PLDs. So as to speed up, because we are using all these things, obviously your system becomes slow. To speed up all this one, we are using extra softwares in that one, so your hardware part also gets speeded up. So these are all about your large scale or the complex scale or the sophisticated embedded systems, and it contains completely RTOS, means real time operating system, for scheduling, prioritizing, and your management. Because your prioritization means you are giving some priority for some particular application. So in medium scale or small scale, we have said there is no time limit, slowly also you can do, but in this particular scale embedded systems we have a time limit. So you use real time applications for scheduling the time. So within this 2 minutes you have to do this particular application, within 2 minutes we have to do that particular application. I have made one more video last time for microcontrollers. I'll give the link in the description box. Please go through that video also. You'll get to know what actually microcontrollers are doing. For every single thing whatever we are using today, we are using the microcontrollers. So for that microcontrollers we use this real-time operating systems. If suppose I give an example of your remote, TV remote or whatever, by pressing of a button your channel should change. What you are having in that one, you are having a microcontroller, a quick microcontroller which is scheduled in seconds of time. In this particular time this priority has to be given, this is the management you have to do. That all is based on real-time operating system, and which you are using, that is controlled everything by your microcontroller. So it's a bit interesting topic. I'll be giving the link of your microcontrollers. Go through that one, so it will be easy for you people to get that one. Okay, so I hope you are clear with the categories of your classifications of your embedded systems. First one is small scale, then medium scale, then you are having large scale. Next we go for the next topic, embedded processor in the system. What is the processor? Why we go for the processors, right? So as we said already, either we will be using microprocessor or either we will be using microcontroller. But this processor or the controller is completely based on two basic units. First one is a control unit, and the second one is your execution unit. You people have already studied in the last semester of MPMC everything. we'll just revise this everything in here. Control unit means in the name itself you know what you are doing over here. So in control unit every instruction has been taken, means it is fetching from the memory, and the control of the sequential processing is given for the instruction. So you are given the instruction and all the instructions will be saved in your memory. So depending upon the instruction or the instruction from the memory or from the user end, you are fetching the instruction from the memory and you are giving the controls to that one, right, and processing the given data. This was about your control unit. And second, you are having the execution unit. What actually execution unit has, what actually it decodes the fetch data, yes or no. So execution, what it does first, it takes the data and it decodes the particular fetched instruction which is consisting in your memory or nothing but your arithmetic or logic unit, which carries the operation depends upon the user end, either it is arithmetic operation or the logic operation or any other operation which circuit needs. Then for that particular program control or any thing you have to do, you have to stop, you have to do a pause, either you have to jump, either you have to do interrupt, that all instructions are being done by using this execution unit. So what actually execution unit does, first it fetches, then decodes the data and it is given to the ALU. It checks whether which kind of operation is to be done, then what are the other instructions or the what we'll say other any parameters have to be added. It will check and do the program, right. The execution unit also has, as we said, ALU and further the circuit that execute directions of the program at the control end. Then for example you will be having hopping, as I said, jumping, anything that can be done by your execution part. I hope you are clear. You might be knowing much more than me about this control unit and execution unit. Okay, next you are having the processor, as we said. I have given a small brief explanation about the microprocessor as well as the microcontroller here in this class. So we'll just quickly revise all this as you people have learned about MPMC last semester itself. So what is a microprocessor? I'll simply say in one word, microprocessor is nothing but a CPU on chip. Yes or no? It's completely having a central processing unit which functions on a single integrated circuit, right? So we can call it as a CPU on chip. So microprocessor is capable of only performing various computing operations and making the decisions to change the sequence of the program execution. How you are going to change, what you are going to change, where you are going to change. So that is done by your microprocessor. So microprocessor is actually a logic chip that contains all main basic elements like main basic elements or all elements of your central processing unit, right? So this was about your microprocessor. It has similar ways of your CPU. Any CPU must possess your arithmetic logic unit and again control unit. So this is your arithmetic logic unit. Arithmetic logic means both arithmetic operations as well as your logic operations will be done over here. You are having the registers for temporary storage of the data. You are having the buses which used to carry the information or the data from your registers to the memory and from memory to the registers, then to the control unit, then the arithmetic and logic unit. Buses, in terms of communication, I'll call them as channels. Through particular channel they are going. So channel is nothing but your bus in communication words, right? So it performs all the process related to the arithmetic and logic operations that need to be done on instruction words, right? So here you will be having AU arithmetic unit as well as the logic unit. And the microprocessor generally require external components. That is the one thing you know that. So microprocessor generally require external components to implement a program from a memory or any complex one. So we need all external devices. Memory you have to attach, then other input output devices you have to attach. So these are the things that you have to be attached to this your microprocessor. So that was your arithmetic unit where you will be doing all arithmetic and logic instructions. So this is the figure for that one. Again we are going, actually this is completely for your microprocessor, where you are having arithmetic logic unit, then control unit. Arithmetic logic unit, you will be doing all arithmetic and logic operations. Then here are the registers, and this is your control unit. The control unit is usually called as your brain of your processor. Everything you have to do by, if someone doesn't have brain means, so it's no use. Similarly, if the microprocessor, the whole brain of your microprocessor is nothing but your control unit. The control unit is the component which has central processing unit of the computer that controls whole operations of your processor. Okay, so it, what actually the principle of operation, it informs the ALU, that computer's main memory, and the output devices how to respond, what command is to be given, what commands are coming from user, and which commands are given, which kind of operations has to be done, where they have to stop, which kind of jump instructions, or which kind of instructions has to be, everything has been done or is been done by your control unit. So this was about your small info about your microprocessor, and the examples for your microprocessor which are used in the embedded systems are ARM. Then you are having 808X. This is 80X86 microprocessor. Then SPARC. Then 6SC XXX. That is one kind of microprocessor. I have forgot comma over here. So these are the different kinds of microprocessor which are used in your embedded systems. Now microcontroller. What actually microcontroller? Sorry. So what is actually a microcontroller? Simple one word answer, I'll tell it as a computer on a chip. Means you don't need any other device for this one. A microcontroller completely has everything inbuilt in that one. You'll be having memory, you extra some ports externally you have to add, but you'll be having a memory, you'll be having a processor, then what kind of memories, RAM, ROM, EEPROM, everything, erasable memories. Then you'll be having serial ports for that one. You'll be having peripherals like timers and controllers. So this is called as a complete computer, means a whole computer on a chip. And this microcontroller is small and low cost computer which is designed to perform only specific tasks. As I have told that microcontroller, every bit, everything what you are using today, we are having a microcontroller. Either it may be a remote, either it may be a washing machine, either it may be switches, electronic switches, right? Either it may be displaying, either in your microwave ovens, everywhere you are using this one. So it is a small low cost microcontroller but is completely designed for some specific task. Okay, next, what are the different kinds of microcontrollers that are used in your embedded systems? Mostly Intel's 8051 is used for embedded systems. Then microchip technology, PIC 16X has been used. Motorola company 6811 microcontroller is used. Then Zilog Z-Ide microcontroller is also used. So these companies also manufacture 16-bit and 32-bit microcontrollers. But the thing is, why we list out these different types of microcontrollers, because every microcontroller will be having different architecture depending upon the what we say, production of your companies, different productions. So different architecture and different instruction sets. So based on the application, what kind of embedded systems we are preparing, for which application we are preparing, so depending on that one we will choose the microcontroller, and we using that kind of microcontrollers in your embedded systems. Clear? So I have given a small architecture type for your microcontroller, where you will be having a complete CPU over here. This is all your microcontroller, nothing but a computer, whole computer on a single chip, where you will be having the peripherals, means your timers and the controllers. You are having the memory, RAM, ROM, EEPROM. Then your complete CPU, where you are having registers, then ALUs, arithmetic logic units, accumulators for temporary storage of the data. Then you are fetching the data, then decoding the data, then executing that particular data. That everything is been done in the CPU and this microcontrollers. I hope you are clear with the processor, embedded processor in a system. Embedded processor is nothing but either microcontroller, either microprocessor, depending on the particular application, which kind of embedded system you are preparing. Either you choose microcontroller or the microprocessor. In that one also, which company's microprocessor or controllers are being used, that depends also complete application, which kind of application, which designer designs which kind, what is his requirement. It completely depends on the designer. Okay, then last, what purpose, why actually we use embedded systems, what is the main purpose, for which reason we are serving this purpose. So mainly this embedded system is designed to serve the purpose of any one or more combination of the following tasks. Like it is used for your data collections, isn't it or not? You are collecting the data, or you are storing the data, or you are representing the data so to something or someone, or to some place, or to space. Okay, from where space, I'll give you example. Suppose Mars, you are sending the satellite, okay, there, from there some revolving around the earth, you have to find out how much distance it is from sun or any other planet. So data can be collected, data can be stored, and data can be represented also. So this is kind of embedded. The purpose of the embedded system also is used for this one. Then for the data communication also, for communication, one-to-one communication, we need this one. As we said, we are using this in data signal processing. Then these are used for monitoring, continuous 24/7 monitoring we are doing nowadays by using GPS. This is also used. Then as to control if anything happens, how we have to control, we have prepared an embedded system that completely monitors if then something goes wrong, how we have to control, what any kind of buzzers, any kind of messages they have to produce, everything is done by this thing. And then application specific user interface, this will come to know in the next classes. I hope this is clear for you people. So today we'll end the class up to here. Okay, thank you.